Good morning, everyone. It is Hump Day. Woo, woo, Hump Day, Wednesday, December 8th. Cruising our way through December here. Hope everybody has their shopping well underway. Done with shopping. Now all I have to do is start with the wrapping of the gifts. All right, let's take a look here. The futures are bumping up just a little bit. They're off of their highs. We did receive word this morning, and this is incredibly early data on the Omicron variant, that the BioNTech Pfizer vaccine, if you had the full vaccine and a booster, that you have the good protection, very good protection. It is considered to be a viable vaccine against it. And then if you had just the first two, that you still have adequate protection. So, and they're finding that it's not as deadly. There's not as many hospitalizations. So there's a lot of good news. So what does that mean for us here? Well, I think what that means here is that those get out travel names, all of those will continue to continue to perform. So we'll take a look at a few of those, but let's go ahead and start here. The ES, we have on the futures right now, we have a doji. We'll see which way this opens up. I wouldn't be surprised. We've had a couple really big, amazing days after this slop, right? You know, down, up, down, up. This was hard to trade through, back through here last week, and then really starting on Thanksgiving. Black Friday after following Thanksgiving. Really rough week trading, and we came right back in and said, you know what, market, we are coming back up. We are not far from all-time highs. I think we're about 1% from all-time highs here in the SPY. And this, I saw an article there on that the New York Times put out that, or no, I'm sorry, it came through MarketWatch. I actually put it on our Twitter, on my Twitter feed, that we're looking to have one of the best Decembers, or the best December in 24 years. So it doesn't really feel like it. All this external pressure coming onto the market. Now, what I will say is it does make sense maybe that we take a little break, a little pause here as we look at those all-time highs. And remember, next week we are really going to start talking about interest rates and the taper, more so on the interest rate side. We know the taper's coming, but looking to see what those interest rates are going to look like. And I think that's the 14th and 15th is that meeting. So we'll see what comes out of that, but we're going to have a few plays for that as well. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little congested here this morning, but let's start off with a few that just really performed at better than I thought they would. Now, we did hear that there was a secret deal. I don't want to get into the politics of that, because I definitely shook my head and looked at my desk at all the Apple stuff, and I wasn't very happy. There was a secret deal between Tim Cook and Beijing with China in 2016. So that definitely gave a little bit of a boost here. And you know, people always know what's going on, what's about to come out. Really good move here in Apple. It's continuing a bit here this morning. I would look, maybe, if you don't draw trend lines in, I highly recommend it. But draw this trend line in and see where we kind of top out today. I'm going to put my bets if we push up. I think somewhere around 173.50 might be where we settle out by the end of the day, or a little bit back into this channel. That being said, that's about $1.50 from where it is now. This can certainly move much more than that. It has an average true range of about $4. That wouldn't be a huge move on it, but we are a little bit extended. Am I a Debbie Downer on this? Absolutely not. Just looking for some profit takers to maybe come in. We did have some extra volume. I think this will be a nice little day trader today on that continued news. So I would look for the Apple 170s or 175s to play that news. All right, Datadog. We talked about this one yesterday when we came back and looked at it. Man, it blew right past, like it used that 50, blew past the 8, right up to this trend line. So now over this trend line here today is where I'll be looking for a test of the 20 and then a continuation past that. Once we get past the 20, we certainly have some room to move up to about, I'm going to put us up around here, around the 193 area. I like the Datadog's 175s. These are all out in January. So choose your expiration as you like. This is just kind of where I like to look. Sticking with, I can't believe I didn't write this one down. Okay, sticking with technology here. I'm going to look at snow. So snow was on our list a few times, kind of missed a few moves. Looking at the 370s is what I have here. All right, big move up yesterday, blew through that trend line that we had in there, came back and settled below the 20. So now for me, I like this above the 20, not above yesterday's close, not above yesterday's high, right here to catch that high and then maybe move on. I think we'll have a quick little resistance at 378, but really clear sailing up to about 391.50. In snow, I like the 370s. QCOM. QCOM has done so well. This one's been on our list a few times, right? So now we've had this nice little, the big, I don't want to call this a flag because it's really kind of too big for that, right? We came up, we held so much of this gain, hung in there at the fib line, and now we have that 3.8 and we're above the 20. Really pretty look there in QCOM. And this is another one. I would take my trend line, I would draw it in like this and say, okay, anything above this trend line. You can catch it as long as it's above yesterday's close, but really above that trend line here at 184.80 is what I would be looking at, and I would watch the 185s in QCOM. You know, the weekly on this is very pretty too. And always, when you're not sure about the longer term trend of stuff, go to your weekly charts, right? Drew this in, look at that. How pretty is that? Right? Now tell me that's not a pretty little flag. All right, so looking pretty good there in QCOM. Let's take a look at Airbnb. This one too, we've talked about quite a bit. This is the weekly on it. Now, a lot of charts have, you know, last 2 weeks a little rougher of a candle, but we came back in. We just have the 50-day moving average starting here. You can barely see it on this chart because it is a newer issue, but this is the weekly. We came in, the 20 is crossing above the 50 on the weekly. That is a bullish signal. We just found out that the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine looks like it'll be fairly effective. Those other ones, mRNA, J&J, will probably come out with something very similar. But look at this. Blew all the way up through this on Monday, came in, took a pause after hitting the 20. Like this for a reversal back up to that 20. I really want to be above that 20 to get in, and then we have a lot of room to the upside. I like the 190s there on Airbnb. All right, let's take a little walk over into some shopping. Right, Dollar Tree, activist, investor, bump, earnings, bump. We came back in. Again, can't retrace to this very first fib line here. And now we have the 3 crossing over the 8. Very quiet here. There is a little bit of a gap left. I like this on the move outside of yesterday's high. So the high side of 139.17 to go long. If it fails, fails the 8, I would look to go short, maybe play it back down through that fib line. But on the long side, I do like the 140s here. Oh, shoot. I meant with Airbnb to put Disney, but let me go ahead and do some Starbucks first, and then we'll go back to Disney. Starbucks had this nice bump up. They have a union vote that concluded yesterday. We'll see if that continues it on. But look, it came right up here to previous resistance, a little bit of a gap up here, looking for anything above yesterday's close to punch through the high and continue on. And again, we have that gap up here to about the 118.36. I like the Starbucks 115s. Now, this one moves a little slower. It's not very exciting, so keep that in mind. And again, keep in mind that we might have a little bit of an overall break in the market. Okay, Disney. Okay, Disney, right? I don't even know what to say. Apparently, the mouse fell into the rat trap, and here all the way down, fought its way out. Look at this, moving up. Saw some profit taking on it yesterday, but our close was still higher than the previous day's high. That is a very nice line here. I like this over the high of yesterday. We're hitting that fib line. We do have the 20, so keep in mind, keep an eye on that. But we pulled that 3 nicely up over the 8. Next resistance at the 20, but all kinds of room to the upside here. especially as we continue to make plans to get out. Disney, I like the 150s. All right, since we're out and about, how are we going to get from the airport to Disney or to our Airbnb vacation? Well, we might rent a car here at Hertz, Global Hertz. It has been just kind of a mess. You know, they had the whole restructuring, and then we had this huge bump up day. Yeah, kind of just a mess. And this was on the news with Tesla. They were going to buy Teslas, and now we've started a whole new pattern. Maybe a bit of a inverse head and shoulders here. So if we drew that neckline in right now, it would look something like this. So I'm keeping an eye on this. I know we closed on the downside. We use this point of control very nicely. I like it up over yesterday's high. On Hertz, I would look at those 30s. This is a pretty easy one for if you have time that you can hold it. I would take a look at the equity on this one as well. Okay, so that's Hertz. And next week, we did just talk about the fact that we will be looking at those interest rates, banks starting to take a nice little recovery up off of the 200. Now, whether you're looking at JPM or Goldman Sachs, which I already hold long, but JPM, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, I mean, goodness, throw a dart. One of those we'll look at it. So I am looking at JPM in particular up over the 20. I like the look at this. It broke through a short-term trend line yesterday. Looking at the 165s for a hold out into March on these. I really like these longer, and looking at the 165s. So those are the ones that kind of deviate from that time frame. And lastly, I would be so remiss if I didn't look at Tesla. So Tesla, interesting, we had this, let me get rid of this because it's kind of messy here. All right, we had this really long tail on Monday when the EVs really weren't performing. Yesterday they came in and performed better. Tiny little candle here, just above the 3. Like the look for this now to continue. It just kind of took its time, you know, and it does that. It just kind of sneaks around, you know, being quiet, and then all of a sudden it'll give you one huge candle one way or the other and blow through it. So what I would look for here is a move through yesterday's high, a little bit of previous resistance there, not a lot, but if we can push up through that, and then that 20 is a very good target area, and that 20 is sitting at 1079 essentially. So that's what we're looking for. If we can clear that up, I think we'll move pretty easily up to maybe about 1100. 1100, always a round number. 1104 is where I really like that too today. So if it can catch a bid, if we can keep the move at marking long, but like I said, we do have the potential of a pause in the market after this big move. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay. Everyone, I hope you have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic Wednesday. If you have any questions, reach out, Heather C at givingtreetrading.com, and I hope you come trade with us soon.